If you don't have hens, I would highly encourage you to buy hens now. So there's some crazy things going on in the world right now. Russia invaded Ukraine, is still invading Ukraine. There's a lot of commotion throughout the world, and I personally follow the news probably a lot more than I should, but I feel like things are escalating. You know, it's taking months, sure, but it does seem like things are headed in a path of escalation rather than de-escalation. And I don't think, as much as I hope that the Russia crisis will just fizzle out and Russia and Ukraine will stop fighting and that there will be no more war, I don't think that's the case. I think we're going to see more conflict in our lifetime. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw more conflict even in less than a year. So I think it's important, if you don't have hens yet, to start getting a coop, getting a chicken run, and making arrangements to pick up a bunch of hens. Some of you might think I'm a little crazy encouraging people to buy hens right before fall and winter, you know, because laying does decrease during those months. For some birds, it might even stop for a little while. But I just want to share with you our wonderful experience that we've had with our 24 hens that we recently bought, and how much more self-reliant and prepared we feel as a family for hard times that are coming because we have these hens. So first off, look here on my lap. I just barely took a minute and grabbed some eggs from our coop. And looky here, we've got 13 eggs that I've gathered from our 24 birds from the coop just now. And these eggs are big and delicious and nutritious. We got these hens about a month ago, and they're an absolute joy. Our kids love feeding the birds. They love looking for eggs when we come here, and it's very therapeutic. You know, you just come out here and you watch your birds and they just eat their food and scratch the ground, and it's really therapeutic. I personally don't feel like it's expensive. I mean, I'm sure you can buy expensive feed for your birds, but we buy these 50-pound bags of, you know, cracked corn or whole corn that only cost about $10 or $11 at our local farming co-op. And then we buy these, 50-pound bags of special food that's meant for egg-laying hens. That gives them plenty of calcium and protein and whatnot. And that crumble or those pellets only cost about $15 for a 50-pound bag. If you look in the right place, I have another video talking about how you can, you know, pick up hens for, you know, as low as about $1 a bird if you look at the right place at the right time. I think we've used 2 bags over the last, month or so of feeding hens, and we've gotten, we're getting about a dozen eggs a day. So if you do the math, like a dozen eggs, let's say it costs $3. I feel like we are saving money. We do spend some money, but I feel like overall we save a lot of money because eggs cost a lot right now at the store. And not only that, but we feel more self-reliant because if times get rough or whatever, we have our own source of protein and calories and nutrients that you just can't get that much of from your vegetable garden. We have a massive vegetable garden that produced so much food, but we didn't have any source of, high source of protein like eggs that could really help us get the calories that we need. It really isn't hard to take care of chickens. From my experience, it's not any more work really to take care of, 24 hens as it would be to take care of just 1 or 2. If you are in a position to, I'd recommend getting as many hens as you have space for. I have someone here that I contacted where I can buy hens from him in October for $1.50 a bird. And he has 16,000 birds that he's going to sell at about 18 months and then replace with newer birds that are in their peak laying. And that's crazy. Like $150, you could have 100 hens that produce, 50 to 100 eggs a day. That's just insane. You have to feed them, and either they have to be free range to be able to get the nutrients they need, and you need to have land for them, or you need to, more than likely put out some water dispensers, put out some, feed for them. But overall, I think eggs are an amazing thing to be prepared. And guys, eggs can last for a long time. So these eggs, fresh out of the chicken, we have not washed these, right? If you don't wash them, and they're not too dirty, if they've got, dung on them, they probably want to wash them and use them. But if they're clean, like this egg right here, it looks totally clean, right? They have this little coating on them that helps them stay good for longer. So you don't wash them, but what you can do is you can get a bucket, and you can watch videos on YouTube how to do this, but you get a bucket, put in some hydrated lime, mix it with water. Doesn't take a lot of hydrated lime, and guys, 50-pound bag of hydrated lime at Lowe's or Menards costs like $10 or $15. It's very, very cheap. Anyway, you just put it in this hydrated lime water solution, just put them in, and you could store dozens, if not hundreds of eggs in a 5-gallon bucket just in your pantry for up to a year, maybe even longer than a year. There's people who do this and they just take the eggs out with a little ladle when they're ready to use eggs, and they're 12-month-old eggs. They'll just prepare them. They look almost identical to the way they looked. You wash them off and then you crack them open and use them. So eggs you can store, and you could have a year's supply of protein if you have a large flock of hens. It's very cheap to preserve the eggs, and if the hens stop laying in the winter or whatever, you still have those eggs, those excess eggs from summer that you'd be able to eat. I think there's some people who say like, oh, I'm worried about getting hens because the hens are already a year and a half old where I want to buy them, and they might only lay for another year. But what it sounds like is that birds can live, especially in a backyard coop like this, they might live for 5 or 10 years, and they'll probably still produce eggs pretty regularly. It will just kind of gradually decrease. It will eventually stop, but I mean, they're still laying. They might not be laying every day, but if they're laying every other day or every third day, I mean, to me, that still makes it totally worth it to have the hen, especially considering feed isn't that expensive. You can give them scraps. There's some scraps you can't give them. You can't give them chocolate or citrus, but a lot of scraps you can give to them. You just, cut them up a little bit, throw them out there, and they love eating vegetables and fruits and things like that. And so it's a way you can kind of compost and use leftovers that you don't want to eat, and great way to produce fertilizer, great way to produce food and store food for you and your family. So if you do not have hens, I recommend you try to buy them now, or start preparing so you can buy them if you're at all able to. I can't imagine life without these hens now. Like, I did not know if I would like it. We don't have any other pets or animals, but I absolutely love these birds. They're sweet. I don't think I've had a single hen attack me, peck at me or scratch me or anything. They've been very friendly. It might take $1,000, to set up your coop and chicken run, and then a little bit of money for feed from there on. But then you have fresh, healthy eggs that you can have, like, for the, every year you can add to the flock, so you always have a supply of eggs for the rest of your life. And eggs are incredibly healthy. There's a lot of research that show that eggs are just packed with protein that's crazy healthy for your body. If you eat eggs before bed, it can help you sleep a lot better. My wife and I started doing that a couple nights ago. I have a separate video all about that experiment, but our sleep is like dramatically better. We feel a lot better rested. My brain feels a lot better rested since I started eating eggs right before bed. So you might want to look into that if you have a hard time feeling rested after you sleep. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you want to watch more videos about homesteading and preparedness, go ahead, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.